Getting us underway is Bremer. Hit into play to short, collected across the diamond, waiting for the signal from the first base umpire. Timothy Catton gives it safe. And before we can even say his name, Andrew Walker gets on base with a single.
We saw a lot in that batting practice. Xavier, a team that likes to go the other way, and you see that there. First pitch put on the ground, you put the ball in play, good things happen in a tough play on the turf to try and get it, and a good attempt at first base to try and stretch. But the speed of your leadoff guy is always what you want, and one pitch, and we already got a runner on for Xavier.
Yesterday's game was a great one. It was high tempo, at least from the pitching perspective. We saw Trevor Olsen having a great pitching day for Xavier. He was a fast guy up there. We already have a first base runner very early on. That one's low for ball one. So 2 pitches in, already a runner on first base. Up to bat now for the Musketeers, Jerry Huntsinger. Guy with the best batting average in the starting lineup after the loss of their number 13, Luke Franzioni. Not in the lineup, second in the nation in home runs with 9. That one ruled for the first strike of the contest.
A few things to look out for here today. Of course, with a doubleheader, you're going to see different guys in. You know, you mentioned their best player not going to play in this first game. You assume he'll be in the lineup for the second game. You probably want to see a lot of pitches. Of course, a lot of pitchers have been used in this series so far.
Swung on and missed. Matthew Ellis brings it back up top. And, you know, the last 2 starts, for Bremer, started the year 3 relief efforts, then 2 starts in his last 2 outings. First against Missouri State, threw for 6 innings. They love a repeat of that. And then more recently against Troy, 3 2/3 pitched, 5 earned runs allowed. So they would, I think, prefer more of that Missouri State performance in this one. Fouled back over our heads. I don't think you're going to catch that, Austin.
No, I put my hand out just as an instinctual, but hey, we got the net and the glass as well. I think we'll be plenty fine. But Bremer was a guy, as you were mentioning, who we thought might be in that 3rd spot in a weekend series, might be your Sunday starter. But a lot of the guys have come out of the bullpen to see what they've got, and here he is in one of his in his 3rd start of the season.
It was close there, actually, in terms of picking off Walker, who was edging a bit off of first base.
You see Bremer starting out with some fastballs here in this count. It's always important to really get that fastball down and then work with your secondary pitches. It's been one of the issues for Indiana pitchers this year is locating those secondary pitches, but when they're on, they're a tough team. They're a bit formidable with their rotation.
It's fouled off again. Huntsinger keeping himself in the bat. 93 miles an hour. That pitch was clocked in from Bremer.
Here's a guy in Huntsinger this series, 4 for 10, 2 home runs and 5 RBIs. The top of this lineup for Xavier has absolutely raked off of the Hoosiers this weekend.
Bremer testing him again at first. Walker, a quick guy though. Stolen 8 bases, only been caught stealing once on the year so far. So making sure to keep him honest over there as he tries to win the battle against Huntsinger.
Yeah, top 3 guys in the Xavier lineup combined 27 stolen bases and caught just 2 times between the 3 of them.
That one's hit high, back again. 3 straight fouled balls. Some throws over to first mixed in there as well. But Huntsinger is going to make it a difficult task for Indiana to get an early out. See Tibbetts there at first base. Indiana searching for their first out of the day. Hit to shortstop. Double play potential. Got him at second. Got him at first as well. The double play completed. Indiana clears the bases and welcomes Hausinger up with a clean base pads.
Bremer wins that battle there. A nice little at-bat put together by Huntsinger, but a perfect double play ball this time. Hit to the shortstop, much easier play there for Glasser compared to the first one. And what do you know? You get 2 batters, 2 outs, and good for Xavier to really see a bunch of pitches there, work a good at-bat, but it turns out a ball in play, turns out to 2 outs.
Does indeed. Jack Hausinger, another lethal hitter. He is replacing Franzoni in that 3 spot, who held that down in yesterday's contest. Inside, strike 1 called. But very well done by Glasser, who won't get credit for how well he attempted on that very first pitch of the game, trying to get it across the diamond, get the out, but was unable to do so. So it's hit up high. Chance to get out of the inning. And it is raked in. A sunny day in left, but that doesn't stop Carter Matheson from bringing the ball in. And 3 outs, a double play mixed in there, and Indiana goes relatively 1-2-3 up the.
Doan's got one of the better on-base percentages, gets on at a .404 clip.
And as you say that, gets right on base. Potential for 2 if he wants to go for it, decides not to. Makes it a very similar start to how Xavier started at the top of the first. 2 pitches for the leadoff hitters, 2 singles. Doans gets on to first base.
It's one of the biggest things you want to see today. Pitchers want to attack early, try and get their pitch count as low as possible, knowing that you got a lot of baseball ahead of you today, and takes that first pitch and finds a gap in the left side of the infield. And what do you know? Doans is on, another speedy guy. Well,
so here's Philip Glasser following up, the senior lefty. Chance for Indiana to get the scoring started in this one. He goes for a shows bunt, pulls back, and a ball is called. A lot of movement on that one, just 72 miles an hour, dipping inside.
yeah, it's a tough pitch to a bunt if you're a lefty. That ball's coming right in on you. Nice job by Glasser to pull back there as Indiana trying to look for a little small ball early and get Doans into scoring position.
He's going for second, trying to get in his scoring position himself. He gets out into center field, as a matter of fact. Doans is going to try and take third base. Told to hold up there, but he'll take second on the stolen base. Interested if he'll be credited with just an error or if another stolen base all the way into third. But Indiana, all of a sudden, with no outs, runner on third, great chance to try and get the scoring started in the first.
Yeah, a bit of a fortuitous bounce. That ball actually goes off of Doans and it kind of careens its way into center field, and it looked like the second baseman would have been there. Hunsinger might have been there if that ball didn't hit him, but it looks like it'll go down as a stolen base and then an E2 on the catcher. Not a great throw. And what do you know, Indiana now 90 feet from scoring the first run of this game.
And 3 balls in this count now for Glasser. A great spot to be in. Chances to get runners on first and third. Haven't even had a chance to talk about George Eisenhardt on the mound. So that one's going to be called for strike 1. It'll keep him around. Well, Eisenhardt has a 8.10 ERA, 1-3 record as a starter. Only started games this year in his 4 appearances. This one's put out, fouled away, and makes it a full count now. He's done well, Eisenhardt has, to fight back into making it a full count.
Yeah, and you can see he's kind of pinning that outside corner on the lefty, knowing that the third baseman, Cushing, was playing a bit in on the grass a little bit. And if a ball hit right to him, maybe Doans doesn't have a chance of advancing anywhere, but now he backs up into the dirt.
Leaves that one. It's called ball 4. He gets on to first base, and Indiana, first 2 batters up, I should say, will get on base. Cues up Whalen with a chance to try and inflict some major damage early on in the contest. Bobby Whalen with Matthew Ellis on deck, a guy with 10 home runs on the year. Took one 441 feet. And the last game against Xavier, those are runs 9 and 10, but again, they were just short in bringing Indiana back, as Abby had mentioned earlier. High and inside, ball 1.
It's the perfect guy you want at bat for the Hoosiers, and Bobby Whalen with a 347 average this season. He's got 10 RBIs, and you're looking here for Xavier. You want to get a double play ball, run scores, but for Indiana, you want to try and get that runner home and maybe advance the runner to second as well to keep the force out.
Strike 1 given there, 1-1 count. Bobby Whalen, one of the hottest hitters on Indiana's team, batting .347 on the year. It's an on-base percentage of .447. Gets one high into shallow center. Interesting if Doans is going to test it here. He is going to test it. Slips, chance to get home. He will. He slides in and gets the first run. And a risky one there by Doans, but it pays off in the end. Goes from third to home in Indiana's first run of the game. He'll be still 0-0 on the day. Strike 1 is going to be called for Matthew Ellis. He gets the RBI credited to him. And it leaves with 1 out. Ellis is the runner on first base. That being Glasser after his walk. He's going to be tried to be picked off by Eisenhart, but gets back in time. But Ellis in the very first contest against Xavier just batted 1 of 5. Last time out, the 2-run moonshot that he had. Similar opportunity here. He'll again be tested.
These Indiana runners are certainly taking some big leads off of first base, and they've certainly taken exception to that, which is why you see the check there on Philip Glasser at first base.
We see that stat about Matthew Ellis, just 1 behind the national leader in home runs. That one's fouled back. He's an explosive guy. He can break a game open at any moment. He's down on an 0-2 count, though. We'll have to show some plate discipline to stay around in this one. Through the middle, really well snagged by Eisenhart. Gets him at second and nearly got Ellis at first. Unorthodox, but Hausinger managed to pin that ball into the ground and from the ground sling it to first, nearly getting Ellis out.
Talk about fielding.
That one low, outside. First pitch for Brock Tibbetts, the freshman. Having a good year batting as well, batting .311 with the 4 homers, 15 runs batted in. An impressive season so far for the freshman first baseman. Got a 1-0 count to deal with. That one's kept in front of.
Yeah, a couple interesting at-bats. You get an interesting sacrifice fly and then a fielder's choice there, so not the easiest ways to get on base or for these at-bats, or for plate appearance, I should say, for the sac fly by Whalen. But Indiana has a lead as they've wanted. Want to get out early in these kind of games. And Indiana, when they win at home, Jack, they're very good at scoring first. They hop on teams pitching-wise. We saw it against Kentucky where they scored 20 runs, and then also against Cincinnati, they scored 5 runs in the first without recording a single hit.
Yeah, that was an impressive performance there in a different manner. Strike 1 is called there. Yesterday against Xavier, though, to be the opposite of your point, though, Austin, they did struggle in the batting department, not getting their first run. The second hit came in the bottom of the 6th inning. They went on to score 10 unanswered, but again, the pitching had put them in too deep a hole. Ball 4 called, and that is going to move Brock Tibbetts on to first, shift Ellis to second, and brings Pine up with the chance to maybe inflict more damage. Pine watches that one up on the inside. But Indiana's carrying over that hitting momentum that they ended last game with. That was a rip down the third base line, but pulled foul.
Pine a bit ahead of that one. Looked like a bit of a change up there. A bit off speed at 88 miles an hour and a bit early on it.
Eisenhart. That one's pulled down the third base line. Well handled by Cushing. And he just steps on the bag, tosses it to the mound, ends the inning. Indiana strands 2 runners, but gets 1 run across.
Build off of that. No better feeling as a pitcher to throw up a 0 after your team gives you the lead.
That one going out into the dugout for Indiana. Might have hit a guy in there. Everyone looks to be okay. As strike 1 call, Tyler DiMartino, the number 4 hitter after a 1-2-3. Austin, my resident big baseball guy. Is that a 1-2-3 inning if it's only 3 batters, but there was a hit?
If someone reaches it, it's not a 1-2-3 inning. You got to retire all 3 guys. But hey, you take it. You face the minimum, get a double play ball, but it's not a 1-2-3 inning.
Interesting. Very interesting.
You learn something new every day.
I do learn something new every day. Well, DiMartino's in an 0-2 hole. They have reached base already in this game, but they find themselves trailing early on. Nearly a strike there. A lot of movement on that one. The crowd wanted that one to be called, but doesn't get the look their way and keeps DiMartino around, batting .296 on the year. Bremer from the mound. Driven just over the glove of Glasser. Matheson will toss it in and keep him at first base. Nearly was able to rake that one in, Glasser was. He's been the center of attention for these defensive plays for the Hoosiers.
Yeah, as an umpire in the first inning of a doubleheader, you don't want to get anyone on anyone's bad side with a close call. But then a good pitch actually from Bremer. This one's in on the hands, and he just kind of fists it over the leaping try of Glasser, and he gets on. And another base runner to begin the inning for the Musketeers.
It almost taunted Glasser how it hung in the air just above his glove. This one's hit. Pulled foul, though, and won't offer another double play potential for the Indiana. Up to bat now is Lane Flam. Contact guy, not known for the power. But the senior's getting on base at a rate of .296. Doesn't strike out very often, just 4 times this year. Puts that one in play. Another high one, gets over the first baseman in Tibbetts. Chance to move to third base. He will do that. Indiana will have some damage management, toss it into second. So runners on the corners now, no outs. Really good chance for the batter coming up in Garrett Schultz.
That can be really frustrating as a pitcher. The 3 guys that have gotten on, all really soft contact. First pitch of the game, a weak grounder to the shortstop reaches, then one in on the hands, also over the shortstop. That one a bouncing ball right over the first baseman. That's frustrating compared to the last inning. Ellis absolutely hit a rocket right back up the middle. What do you know? It turns into a fielder's choice. So just the way this game works, ball bounces your way a few times, and for Indiana, it's not.
It's about hitting them where the fielders are not.
Hit it where they ain't.
And you know where they ain't? It's 8 feet in the air. You can get them over their head sometimes. Some unorthodox hitting, but they got runners in the corners, and Garrett Schultz really has a chance to bring things back. Indiana also had runners on the corners with no outs. Ended with a sacrifice fly. This one's hit up the middle. Tag out by Jones, tosses him out at first, so 2 outs. Bases are cleared, 1 run comes home, ties it up at 1. On the balance of things, good, bad for Indiana?
You take that. You take that any day of the week, and no matter what inning it is, what the score is, you, of course, take another weak grounder. This time, Jones is right there, and smart play by tagging the runner. He's right there in front of you, and you can make the easy throw to first. You don't have to worry about throwing it to the shortstop and have something get fumbled up there. But you take that. It's a run in the end for Xavier, but no RBI credited to the batter.
So 2 double plays now for Indiana. Strike 1 called. So things are tied up, and I guess in a very similar way in that they were sacrifices, outs were gotten in the means of getting into runs. Swung on and missed. A lot of movement on that one.
Solid off-speed pitch. That pitch starts, right over the heart of the plate, looks really good, and then just tails off right at the end. That's a lazy swing. You can tell there he was definitely thinking about a fastball.
Swung on and missed again. Well, Indiana allows a run, but they get it done there with the strikeout and a double play. We have Xavier Johnson for the Indiana Hoosiers. Basketball team recently ending their season. Women's team for basketball.
Still live?
Gearing up tomorrow against Princeton, 8 p.m. at Assembly Hall. We've got some baseball here at the Bart Kaufman. Check swing, he went. Up to bat is Carter Matheson after Indiana conceded their lead.
Back-to-back curveballs to start this at-bat. Drops the first one in, and then Matheson thought about it and just kind of waved at it. An awkward swing, and he's already in the hole 0-2.
High there. Eisenhart, he was not credited actually for a run against. There was an error that moved Dones to third base, so there's no earned runs for him. But on the scoreboard, it's 1-1. This one's hit into play towards first. Should be easily dealt with, and it is by Holtz. And the first out is dealt out by Eisenhart and the Musketeers. Quick into that at bat. Nearly saw the first hit of the inning. Hunter Jesse pulling that one down the first base line, but had it just a hair right of the first base bag.
Jesse, one of the few guys on both sides still looking for a hit in this series, 0 for 5 thus far.
He gets contact on that one towards first. It's corralled again by Holtz. And two simple plays for him. He brings the ball in, just jogs over, and taps the plate and gets it out there.
Very nice play defensively there by Holtz, going down on one knee like a hockey goalie almost, and making sure that ball doesn't squeak through the 5-hole, and hard hit ball, but
put out into left field. It will drop fair. Rounding first. And in a second is Samuel Murthison for a stand-up double. Rounding out the lineup, but he breaks the inning open with a double. A chance to go back up to the top of the order with Tyler Dones, who had a single his last time up.
Probably retake the lead.
We've seen that a lot this game. Aggressive hitting on the first pitches. Dones hit the very first pitch he saw. His second pitch that he's faced today, he'll watch that one go for strike one. Swung on and missed. Early 0-2 hole, similar to last time out.
It's a nasty curveball right there, just completely falls off a table, and Dones was thinking fastball the entire way. That's what he saw in the first pitch. Waves right over that one, and once again, seeing pitchers get ahead of 0-2, it's exactly what pitching coaches and managers are going to want to see on a day like this.
Eisenhart trying to get himself out of the inning, make Indiana leave another runner on second base like they did in the first. Pitch. And fouled away. Dones keeps himself alive. But Indiana did leave runners on first and second in the bottom of the first. With pitching, it's been hot and cold, especially last game and on the season as a whole. So they'll want to try and give him as much insurance and obviously retake the lead in this moment. Swung on and hit up the middle. It's going to drop. Chance for Murrison to go home. He's waved home. The throw coming in. It's going to be cut off. And Indiana retakes the lead. Tyler Dones with two singles. This one bringing in a run. And with two outs, they got two hits in order to put themselves back in the spot. He's going. Trying to pick him off and end the inning. Tag not in time. Dones takes second base. Now two stolen bases in the day for him. He advanced last time on the air, but now he's got a runner in scoring position and a chance for another single, and a speedy guy like Dones moving on contact. We're seeing another look at it here. Got a good jump. The throw took the bounce, a bit of the heat off of it. Maybe a better throw might get him, but it wasn't a better throw.
Yeah, and then the last inning, Dones thought about going on the very first pitch when he was on base. Went on the second one, this time wasted no time. Eisenhart has to do better, keeping him honest at first base.
This one's driven into the gap. It's going to fall. Dones going to be able to walk in standing. I think they're going to hold him at first base. They will do just that. It looks like he wanted to go for two, but in the end, have to settle with another run batted in on a single, and Glasser takes advantage of the stolen base by Dones.
First makes a big difference.
They're trying to keep him honest there, tossing it over, making sure Glasser doesn't move. He's been caught stealing once on base, hasn't stolen a base, so hasn't been a threat in that regard. He's going to be attempted again, but he's back in time with the dive. He pitched out there as well, actually. They really do not want to allow any sort of stolen base situation on this one. So Wayland had the first one. He's on three attempts, more or less. Two have been tossed over to first, one tossed out, so 1 ball, 0 strikes. We're going to go back to first. I'd love to just get the inning over with without having to pitch the batter.
I would take that, but I mean, as a pitcher, that's got to be tough on your arm. I mean, it's not, you're not actually pitching the ball, but you're still throwing it back and forth on a warm day like this. That could be challenging.
That one's low, 2-0 count. Bobbling the ball, as a matter of fact, I'm getting it back to him.
Yeah, if you can't tell that the Musketeers are trying to pitch around number 16, Whalen. Well, now you know, with 3 throwbacks to first, basically a pitch out and then a pitch down low. I mean, this is as intentional of a walk as you could probably imagine it to be.
One right over the center of the plate, and Whalen wanted that one, but he found nothing but air.
Yeah, definitely Whalen's a bit antsy in the box, trying to actually see a pitch over the plate.
Yeah.
And that was off speed there. Definitely waves right through it. I don't know if that's a pitch you want to swing at necessarily if you have the green light on a 2-0 count, but hey, if the pitch is yours and it's a 3-hitter, you're certainly going to want to go after it.
2-1 count. Gets contact on that one, but it goes backwards. 2-2 count now. Antsy was a good word to use because you have to mention 5 pitches. Not one of them is really usable. I shouldn't say 5 pitches. 5 times that the pitcher has winded up to do a pitch. 3 times, though, it didn't even go your way. Here it is, 2-2 count. Runner on first. Indiana got 2 runs this inning. Chance to inflict more after the 4th throw to first. Runner's going, fouled away.
Now it's a game of cat and mouse between the pitcher and the runner. Are you going to throw back? If not, if you're going to deliver a ball to home plate, I'm going to go.
Yeah. Pitch comes in. It's low, outside. 3-2 count now, so Glasser will be going on the full count.
Bullpen.
Runner goes. Contact up under the center. That one might be gone. It's over the fence. And Bobby Whalen kept himself around, and he's rewarded with a 2-run home run. Indiana leads 5-1 as he rounds the bases.
Talk about winning a battle there. You're seeing he was up there probably standing in the box for 2 to 3 minutes as the celebration for Indiana is on, and they finally get some fireworks going. What's been an interesting game offensively for them, but that one hit to the deepest part of the ballpark, straightaway center. Great extension there, and that ball was absolutely clobbered, and the Indiana fans knew it. And that ball, no chance for the center fielder Schultz there, and that's exactly what you want. All with 2 outs, Jack. You have now 4 runs in this inning, all starting with 2 outs and nobody on base. That's something you love to see if you are head coach Jeff Mercer.
Matthew Ellis, the guy who's got a lot of potential to be explosive. 10 home runs on the year. He's back up for the 2nd time. Last time out, he hit a grounder up the middle. It was fielder's choice. He got on base, but nothing doing there. 2-0 count now. And Eisenhart, he's going to want to try and get out of this inning. It is a big emphasis, though. 2 outs. A lot of times you imagine the inning is a dead man walking in a lot of senses. As Ellis check swings there, but the strike is called. But, you have a guy coming up empty bases, 2 outs, and all of a sudden you got 4 runs to show for it.
Yeah, you'd love to get this guy out here. Xavier, you got your wish. You wanted this guy up with nobody on base, but hey, you end up giving up 2 runs before on a home run. But yeah, of course you want to get this guy out. It's good that this guy doesn't lead off the inning, and you'd much rather have this guy up with 2 outs, and now you're really trying to pepper in these pitches for strikes.
Low there, 3-2 count. Now with 5 more pitches, Eisenhart in just 2 innings pitched is up to 45 pitches now. So if there's no movement now, you have to imagine in the time between now and when he's back up at the top of the 3rd. This one's driven. Not quite brought down, still a chance to make a play. He decides not to make the throw. And Ellis will get on base, waiting to see if it's credited as an error or a single. But Ellis, for the 2nd time this game, is on to first by rather fortuitous means.
Yeah, it looks like it's going to be an error. That ball, just a bouncing ball. Actually, good placement on the outside corner, and he tries to pick it there on the short hop, the first baseman, and no luck. And Holtz there can't make that play, and Ellis does reach for the 2nd time.
One's low, kept in front of, though, by Dupree. Corrals that one. But Brock Tibbet's up for the 2nd time. Got on with a walk in his last at-bat in the 1st inning. Swung on and missed. A lot of movement on that one. Eisner has had some of the players guessing, swinging and missing a lot. But it's been it's been a hot and cold first 2 innings for him.
Yeah, it was a good curveball to right there. Just drops that one right in there for a strike, and waving right through it was Tibbetts.
This one's bounced, or at second. Ellis avoids hitting it, but it's going to be tossed very easily from Hunsinger to Holtz. Well, they got the first 2 outs done easily with the first 2 batters, but they allowed 4 runs, and Xavier, after tying it in the top of the second, now trails 5-1 as they come back up in the top of the third. We'll be waiting.
Yeah, you jinxed it, Jack. As soon as you bring it up, of course, the pace of play is.
Austin, I did bring it up. I thought it in my head.
Well,
I did the worst thing possible.
The baseball gods.
Yeah, the baseball gods heard me. That one's driven right up the middle. They don't like our banter. And with the very first hit, the very first pitch, I should say, Dupree gets the first hit of the inning. Seen a lot of that, though, so far this game, haven't we, Austin?
Yeah, a lot of first pitch fastballs kind of right over the heart of the plate to begin an at-bat, especially with the bottom of the order, as I mentioned. You want to go after these guys whose averages are much lower. And man who just reached base, Dupree, had an average of, 292. That's pretty good. Not the guy you necessarily want to throw that first pitch to, but he gets on, and Xavier can start to get something going again.
That one's low from Bremer. Up now at the bottom of the order, though, is Jared Cushing. Some movement on that one, 81 miles an hour. Called strike 1.
You want to be much more patient now. If you're Xavier trying to work this guy, he's been sitting in the dugout for a good amount of time after you think it might be a 1-2-3 inning. Well, instead your team puts a 4 spot up there for you. Now he's got to try and get back out there. Well, do just that.
Strike 1 there. Or strike 2 there, I should say, excuse me. But he definitely got Cushing to bite on that one, as Ellis had to almost scoot a bit, dive a bit to keep it in front of him. Bremer to Dones. Chance for the double play. Going for first now. They got it in time. 3 double plays by Indiana. A defensive masterclass so far. And they clear the bases.
Two batters face, 2 outs.
As I learned earlier in the game, this will not be a 1-2-3 inning. If Walker is out, he shows bunt there. And Ellis is caught with something. Well, strike 1 is called after getting a single with the very first pitch of the game, Andrew Walker. He has empty bases again.
And Matthew Ellis has taken some knocks back there as the catcher position, some foul balls earlier this season. And that one right there, a bunt attempt that kind of got on top of it there was Cushing. And courtesy from the home plate umpire to kind of sweep off home plate and give Ellis some time to collect himself.
Yeah, unsure exactly how they got caught there. But strike 1 was called. Umpire looked like he was going to signal with the left-hand strike, but he decided not to. 1-1 count. Inside, strike 2 called.
Pitch had some run there, kind of starts in and kind of just clips that inside corner for strike 2, as we saw Bremer actually shake off the catcher trying to play some mind games thinking he'd go off-speed pitch, but instead just peppers one in there.
Fouled back. 1-2 count. Well, Bremer's done a very good job of keeping or forcing a lot of grounders. We've seen a lot of double plays, a lot of singles from either hits up the middle. Nothing really explosive so far from Xavier.
Yeah, when you kind of focus on the lower part of the plate, it's harder for guys to get under it and to put the ball in the air, as that one misses just out. But I think a lot of guys just kind of roll over it. We've seen that, especially when a guy's on first base. You want to kind of attack the lower part of the zone, especially on the outside part, try and get a ground ball. It's exactly what he's been executing, and we've a much better pitching performance from him thus far for a guy who struggled.
Fouled back again by Walker, a guy who excels at getting on base, 378. He's a speedy guy as well. Joint second on the team in stolen bases with 8. Well, it's a 2-2 count, 2 outs. One's high and wide, it'll be a full count now.
Last thing you want to do with 2 outs is to lose a guy in a count, especially you're a leadoff hitter. Don't want to put him on base and create a 2-out rally, which we just saw in the bottom half of the inning. Trying to retire this guy.
Payoff pitch. Hit up high. Matheson having to shield the sun a bit. He's not going to get to that. It's going to bounce. Chance now to be keeping it alive here for Xavier. Matheson just lost it in the sun, and it was a bit deeper than he expected, landing near the warning track. And in the end, Bobby Whalen had to come over and be the man to toss it in field. But now a late double after that one was hit high into the very sunny Bloomington skies.
Another good two-seamer there from Bramer. That's exactly what you want. Kind of runs on the outside half of the plate. And as soon as that ball's put in the air, you see Matheson shield his eyes. And as a pitcher, that's the last thing you want to see, because then you know the sun has got him right there. A tough spot in the left center field. And the center fielder, Whalen, had to come all the way over. Good to keep him at second base and Walker, but ends up being a double. And here we go, another 2-out rally potential.
So here's Hutzinger. Inside. Called strike. Not a big fan of that.
Thought that pitch was definitely in the lower part of the plate. And clear frustration, stares back at the home plate umpire, Jim Shaley, looking for an explanation, but he says, dig back in, kid, that's a strike.
0-1 count. Hit to third, collected by Pine, across the diamond, caught by Tibbetts. Well, a late double by Xavier trying to reenact the 4-run inning that Indiana had with 2 outs, but they were unable to do so, and Indiana maintains their lead as they come back up to bat in the bottom of the third. We will be. Eisenhart still on the mound. Strike 1 is called.
Pine was the only Hoosier not to see the dish in the bottom half of the second, as Indiana sent 8 runners to the plate, and they ended up with 4 runs.
That one called ball 1. Yeah, Indiana have had a strong batting start to today's contest. Pitching's been decent, 3 innings pitched so far. For Bremer, this one's hit into the gap between third and short. It gets down, gets in between, and Pine gets in to first base with the leadoff single.
Exactly what you want. Put the ball in play. Looked like Dones' hit to begin the bottom of the first for Indiana, right between the third baseman and shortstop. Cushing.
Less than ideal moment when he lost the ball in the sun. I leave that one for strike 1. Lost the ball in the sun out in left field in the top of this inning. Nothing really came from it except for 1 extra batter, a few extra pitches for Bremer. Needs a chance to, with the runner on first base, make a bit of an impact here. It's high and wide.
It's a good feeling as an outfielder. I've been there. You lose the ball in the sun, and then with 2 outs, you get out of the inning, give your pitcher a nice little slap on the back, say thank you very much for picking up after me, and you go along, and now you can just forget about in this at-bat by getting on base and continuing this early offense for Indiana.
Swung on and missed by Matheson. He's batting 183 on the year so far.
A guy who struck out 20 times as well, as you see him go chasing after that pitch out of the zone, already once again in the hole, 1-2.
Fouled back. But now we're looking at nearing the 60s in pitches for Eisenhart in just 3 innings. It does seem like they're just going to ride with him depending on no matter what happens. I should say no matter what happens, but here's Eisenhart. Ball called there. 2-2. Especially with the doubleheader. You don't want to be running pitchers too thin, too much.
Yeah, and especially going into this game, the message is, of course, to throw strikes, let these guys hit. The last thing you want to do in a first game of a doubleheader is walk a bunch of guys and give them free passes. It's a good-looking pitch that just misses outside. The count is full. But as a pitching coach, as a manager, you're not going to mind extending a guy like this. The pitchers know the circumstances.
Yeah.
Everyone here knows that there's a lot of baseball to be played today. So, trying to get as much out, as much ride with your pitchers as possible. And if the leash is relatively long, then so be it. We've seen a lot of offense in the last few games. So, of course, the Xavier head coach is not going to be worried that their team can't score at all whatsoever. And he hasn't been in too much trouble, and he's gotten ahead of a lot of these guys, which is very important.
This one's pulled by Matheson. They went down pretty early in the count, 1-2. Xavier coaching staff would like. But here's the payoff pitch. Wow, that is driven back, and that one's gone. He stayed around again, and he's got a 2-run shot himself. Indiana now leads 7-1. They'll round the bases again, and after a small error in the top of the inning out in left field, he more than makes up for it with a 2-run shot. That was a no-doubter after he left the bat.
Talk about making up for an error in a big way. That ball was absolutely launched way over the 330 mark.
Is indeed. Hunter Jesse hitting one up high. Might be lost in the sun again, trying to bring it in, but it's in the end brought down by Hausinger for out number 1. I was actually preparing for an end of inning, talk there because I last time out Indiana with all the runs coming at the back end of the inning with 2 outs down. And the center fielder playing quite deep. That's a tough play for a shortstop to go get out there and catch that ball. We saw that with the sac fly earlier in this game by Whalen. That's exactly what happened. A ball in between, but it gets under it very nicely. No worry about having anyone tagging up from third base. Easy play. At least he made it look easy. The shortstop did. Two-0 count. Good looking pitch. Strike 1. I went inside. 3-1 count now. Eisenhart broken the 60 pitches through 3 innings.
Merson, the guy who got it all started in the second inning with that 2-out double.
Full count now. Similar to the last time he was up, where pulling it over to his left.
We are seeing actually someone in the Xavier bullpen for the first time. You would assume that. You see, the third time through the order after that bat, especially if you let this guy on.
As he does right there, the walk. And with the double already. Jones showed bunt, pulled back in the end.
Currently a left-hander in the Xavier bullpen right now, so you would think.
Showed bunt. Couldn't get contact on it, but a strike will be called.
You see Dones trying to potentially push that bunt towards first base. Of course, the first baseman right now, Holtz, is currently holding on Morrison at first, and you'd much rather go to a base and have someone have to come off and cover first base, and that creates a bit more of a carousel.
That one's corralled incredibly well. Gets out at second, and they'll get it at first as well. A double play to get out of the inning. Some really acrobatic work by Xavier. They'll get out with only 2 runs allowed. Still down 7-1 though. You can't have second runs. Check Edwards with Austin Platt. Abby Heyman as well on the broadcast. Here on the first leg of this doubleheader on Sunday. Jack Hausinger up for the second time today. Strike 1 called. wide by Bremer. You know, Indiana's pitching has been hit and misses here so far, hasn't it, Austin? This has been, well, how has his performance been through 3 innings from Bremer so far?
It's been excellent. To be quite honest, he's gotten ahead of guys and a lot of soft contact, and that's something as a pitcher you have to recognize that they're not going to get on base all the time. He's gotten out of innings with double plays. I believe 3 of them already in 3 innings. That's exceptional. And you're basically faced the minimum. He's faced 11 hitters through 3 innings, so that's very efficient, which you love to see as a coach. And it's a great thing to, you know, a guy who's trying to build up his confidence to give him the ball for the first time at home and put a performance like this as we are a third of the way through this game. That's excellent, and the performance has been, give him an A if you want to give me stamp a letter grade on that.
Professor Platt. Strike 2 is called, 3-2. I think Hauser wanted to start walking to first and get the walk down there, but unable to do so. We'll have to face at least one more pitch. You know, it was similar to, well, we'll go through this at bat first, and that one's bounced, foul. Last time out, you know, it was an interesting one where Indiana had just 1 run allowed in the first. It was decent pitching through 3 innings, and then the 3 more runs were allowed, so it was 4 runs on 6 hits. So it tailed off towards the end of 4 innings. They'll hope that Bremer can maintain himself through and keep the momentum moving. One's hit high, but more behind than in front. And it'll be another full count pitch in a moment.
Yeah, you look at the way Indiana's played this season, and kind of the back half of the pitching is kind of where the problem has started. That kind of started in the very first series against Clemson, the second game in that 3-game when they were swept. In that series, they led 4-0 and then gave up 16 unanswered runs, and just kind of the back half of the bullpen's been the issue.
Swung on, missed. Fouled a bit, tipped it, I should say, but it was caught by Ellis. So a strikeout there for Hausinger. Batter number 2, and DiMartino will come up in a moment.
Indiana 7-11 this season, Jack. 11 losses, 8 of them have come in games that are decided by 3 runs or less.
They have not won a game decided by 3 runs or less. They're 0-8 in such games. Only 1 games where it's been heavily in their favor.
Yeah.
Bremer swung on and missed. For DiMartino, his second time coming up today. Had a single last time out. You know, Xavier's got some contact. 5 hits to this point isn't terrible, but the lone run against Indiana 7 does pale in comparison. Well, it's high. It's going to hit actually DiMartino, as a matter of fact, and Bremer takes a moment to collect himself after just losing control of that one.
Yeah, completely lost that one right on the fingertips, high and in. No intention, of course, towards the batter there, but it's a runner you don't want to put on after getting a quick out. You see the replay here. Yeah. Just kind of clips him on the back with a curveball that he misses, and he knew it right away as soon as he hit him, kind of turned around in frustration. Yeah, I think if DiMartino doesn't kind of almost shift his shoulders so his back right shoulder kicks out a bit, it could almost gone behind him. Definitely lost control of that one, and it allows a runner to move on to first base with 1 out. Driven to first, gets past Tibbetts. Runners will be holding at second, so they'll have to settle with the runner on base, and Xavier, chance to maybe make a bit of a rally in the 4th inning. With the first baseman Tibbetts holding the runner on there, doesn't have quite the time. He's not usually in his position, as that one just kind of skates right by him. And if Tibbetts is playing in his usual position at first base, as you see him there now, he usually will field down. That's a double play, but since you're holding the runner on, that placement there turns out to be perfect, and already first and second with 1 out. And your center fielder, who's already has a hit in this game, is back up to the dish. Here is Garrett Schultz. Looked like he maybe wanted to have a piece of that, but then it tailed away, and he wisely left it for ball 1. It's great, a really mature, excellent take there. Professional take, as some would say, and he just kind of sees the ball the entire way and watches it creep outside for a ball. So it's driven to second. Double play potential. Choked up a bit on Glasser. Dones gets it to first. Safe there, however. Indiana gets 1 out. The runners at the corners, a 2 out, so still a threat for Xavier, as Holtz will come up now. We'll see a look at this one. Yeah, it's a bouncing ball to the shortstop, and he kind of has a little hesitation to get the ball out of the glove, and that's the difference between 1 out and 2 outs there, is reaching safely is Schultz on the fielder's choice, and now first and third with 2 outs, and that could have very well been a double play ball, as Matthew Ellis calls out a sign just in case the runner at first goes to second in the hopes of trying to get that run home from third.
So do you leave that runner at second? You just kind of let him take it instead of allowing the run home?
Well, with 2 outs, if you believe that you can throw him out, go ahead and do so. With 2 outs, it's a situation where you would think about throwing down, especially when that was a relatively tailor-made double play ball. It just had trouble getting it out of the glove, but that's an excellent first pitch to get ahead.
He doesn't need to get ahead. 0-1 count. Holt striking out earlier in the contest. Swung on and missed again. 0-2 is the advantage.
You can tell Holtz is up there to hit as sees the first 2 curveballs and swings right through him, as he certainly wants to get his team back into this game, trailing by 6 with 2 outs.
It's an important moment, though. Try and keep themselves in it. Swung on and missed again. 3 strikes. And Bremer made it a bit risky, allowing 2 runners on, but they strand them both. Up for the 3rd time today is Philip Glasser. He singled, getting an RBI as part of Indiana's 2-out extravaganza in the 2nd inning. He leaves that one as well. 2 times he's left one for a strike. Down in a bit of a hole early on for Eisenhart. He's got 6 earned through 3 innings, I should say. This one's driven, and it's going to be through the gap of 3rd and short. Philip Glasser for the 2nd time gets a single. And Indiana have an early leadoff single to get things going.
It's a really good piece of hitting there with 2 outs, and Eisenhart immediately knew it as soon as I saw that ball go into left field. Kind of just looks at the catcher and kind of shakes him and just kind of shrugs his shoulders. Just like, well, that's a good piece of hitting.
Yeah.
And I believe that is going to be all.
Out of an early hole. Keep it just a 6-run game. Now we're nearly dipping in for strike 1, but it's called for ball 1 on the first pitch of the game for Lower.
Lower's pitched 3 innings this season, not a single run charged to his name. He's pitched relatively efficient in his 2 outings out of the bullpen.
Bouncer to 3rd base. Going to be a tough one to assess. Can't go to second, goes to first, but he's safe there as well. Having to wait for that one to come down to him was Cushing, and he just couldn't get to it in time to throw him out at first and wait, and then we'll get on.
Yeah, this is an in-between hop, and the 3rd baseman just gets caught there. That's when you gotta charge in. As soon as you see that ball bounce relatively close to home plate, it's going to be a soft contact. It's going to be a tough play to get anyone there, but if you field it cleanly, you can have at least the momentum going to first base for an easier play. But that one just kind of is on its back foot and then has to fire it to first. You're not going to get many guys at this level like that, and you got to be more aggressive as a 3rd baseman there, playing the hot corner on that weak contact. And what do you know? We've seen a lot of weak contact today turn out to for guys on base, but this guy does not put together any weak contact when he hits the ball. My goodness.
He is not the guy you want to see coming up to bat. 2 runners on, no outs. It's inside. It might have actually made some contact with Ellis. It did, in fact. Well, 1 pitch and the walk there for Matthew Ellis. That one's driven up the center. Backing up. It looks like it's going to stay in here at will. Runners will advance, though, quite easily, both standing up. As a matter of fact, there was a slip at 3rd base. Josh Pine up now, 1 for 2 on the day. You watch that first one go by for a ball. Matthews one for ball 2.
It can be frustrating as a pitcher when you come into the game. You get a soft contact like on the lead elbow there, and then really good contact turns into an out. So very interesting the way this game has played out. The hard hit balls, other than the home runs, of course, have turned into outs, and kind of the softer balls put in play, finding holes and kind of taking big bounces, and you get one that flares into left field. It's been very interesting.
Pine will leave that one for strike 1. 3-1 count. Gonna make lower work for it. Swung on, missed. Got a little bit of it, but not enough to clearly to put into play. 3-2 now, full count.
Interesting here as a manager, do you want to send the runner? Granted, it is Ellis, who's probably not the fastest guy, but this is a situation where maybe you want to send a runner, try and put a ball in play, and eliminate a double play if the ball's put in play to make sure that run does come in safely from third.
It's put up high. Should be dealt with by Holtz. He does deal with it. They're actually going to try and go for home. And the ball is lost in the shuffle. Wow, that was an awkward one. Bobby Whalen will go home. The catcher kind of just vacated home plate, and all of a sudden, very clever base running by Bobby Whalen to start running.
That runner did scoring. Whalen kind of stopped for a second. He realized that the third baseman was coming in with him and probably didn't want to take his chances there.
Because it was a tough one always, considering that the distance to cover was much closer. I think if it's a better toss by Holtz, it's easier dealt with. So I think it's going to be called a throwing error. A bit harsh on Holtz at first base.
Yeah, that's really not his fault, as we see our SID, Greg Campbell, clarify things. But that's a mental mistake, and that's really not the first baseman's fault. That is clearly Dupree's
I think
fault.
we can't vacate all blame because he just threw it where the guy wasn't.
Yeah.
But I think if to make things simple, if Dupree is at home plate, there's no risk at all there.
Yeah, and you're trying to throw it to a moving target, which is not that easy, especially as a catcher. You're not used to a play like that, especially that movement back home. But that is, of course, does go down as an error. We've seen a lot of interesting things on our box score here in this game.
Left low, 3-0 count. So 3-0 count. Very, very awkward inning so far. No one's left, strike 1 called. So you had to clarify in the end. We've got a sacrifice fly for the first run of the inning, a throwing error for the second run of the inning. And Indiana has scored in every inning so far to put up 9 up to this point. Fouled off by Matheson, who's actually the man who's up to plate, because I think we took so long to grapple with what had just happened that we finally have said it is Carter Matheson who is up to bat right now.
And, he took out his third base coach there, Derek Simmons, who was third base coach in that box there, and nearly got nailed by that liner.
Well, full count, 2 outs. Driven, it's gonna fall. Looks like he's gonna stay at third. Actually, they nearly were able to get the tag on Matheson at first, so he'll get a single runner will advance from second to third. But again, as you mentioned, not the quickest guy. Matthew Ellis, I don't think was the guy you would want to see barreling towards home.
Yeah, you could see he kind of takes a couple steps and then has to wait to make sure that no one's there to catch that, but that was dropping the entire way, and even that just split second there is the difference, and you probably don't send Ellis home anyways. And with 2 outs, as Matheson kind of took a bit of a bigger turn around first base. Don't want to get tagged out there for a silly out, as Holtz was standing right there breathing down his neck.
Here's Jesse, up to bat now. Strike 1 called. He's 0 of 2 on the day. He's the only Hoosier right now not to get on base so far. It's high, 1-1.
I believe the only Hoosier yet to get on base this entire series. He's now 0 for 7.
Two-one count. Runner's going. Loses the baseball, actually, going for it. Ran into the home plate umpire as he's going for it. 3-1 now. Runners on second and third.
Matheson coming up there, but shaken out, might have jammed his finger into that base. That's the last thing you want, especially on a where there's no throw. The last thing you want is an injury, but he gives a thumbs up back to the dugout.
And we see him kind of just lose the baseball. Going to get another look at this here. Yeah, maybe he'll just bump into it a little bit.
And it's another reason why. And
this one's driven. He's going to get through. Matheson's going for home. He'll do so standing up. Ellis Matheson driven in by Hunter Jesse. We had said he hadn't gotten on base today, a hit in the series. Well, he breaks both of those streaks and gets a 2 RBI single. Xavier still won in the end in that contest, obviously, when that went 12-10. But Indiana went 10 unanswered. That one goes by for a wild pitch. And we had Jesse wasn't just standing up into second base. He was rounding it, prepared to go for 3 in case it was too wild a pitch. So they're playing the full duration of the contest. That one's left. Ball 2. A lower has not come in and set the world alight, to say the least, right now.
To the scoreboard for Indiana on the run side, that's what he's done. He's Indiana's lighting him up. This is tough defensively. Of course, it's a warm day out. You kind of are sweating out there, and every single batter kind of is just tougher to make the play.
Here's one of those defensive plays. They will get that one done, though. Well, they allow 4 runs in this inning. They get out of it, though, with just that. Indiana 11, Xavier 1. But Indiana edging this one so far.
Bit of a revenge tour to a certain extent, coming back and playing for the team where he spent 2 seasons and a good history as a head coach and very well respected. He played those 2 seasons and then came back at Xavier, won the 2009 Atlantic 10 Tournament MVP, and was a key reason, there's a hit by pitch, a key reason why the Musketeers advanced to their first ever NCAA tournament in the year 2009.
Well, there's hit by pitch right there. It was Dupre who caught one. I was about to mention, Bremer still in the contest, going into his 5th inning of pitching now. Most he's pitched today was 6 innings against Missouri State. How much longer do you want to see him? Because you mentioned the leash is looser, a bit longer than usual. What do you expect to see today, Austin?
It's as long as possible right now. You're in the 5th inning, and he's got an excellent pitch count.
Oof, that one's going deep. Tracking back, going for it. He might hit the wall. He will hit the wall. That one's gone. 2-run shot by Jared Cushing. A tough fall taken by Bobby Whalen out in center field, as he was just hoping that he would catch the ball before he would hit the wall, but instead he met the wall before he was able to bring the ball in. A 2-run shot to open up the inning, a very strong start, and Whalen a bit slow to get up.
Yeah, it's the last thing you want to see there. And as Ray was about to say, the leash is kind of as long as you want with an excellent pitch count here in the 5th inning in the 50s. Just that ball is absolutely cranked out to dead and really to right center field, and you just see the contact being made by the center fielder.
Yeah.
That's such a tough play from Whalen, because as you could tell, as soon as that ball left the bat, he was running as hard as he possibly could, and just did not know how close he was to the wall. And as soon as he got close, you just kind of winced a little bit and crossed your fingers. And
yeah, he's holding his left rib area. Took a tough contact with the wall, obviously. We're seeing it again here. Yeah, it's just a bit awkward there. You have that middle, I'm not sure what the proper way to describe it is, but the middle bar that's definitely played an impact on it. And you can just see him signaling by the numbers. Is where he kind of caught the wall.
Good to see him stay out there in center field, as we mentioned during that break. Kind of just get the wind knocked out of you right there on a play like that. You're going so hard into the wall and kind of just going to get hit in that rib cage area. So we're kind of just get the wind knocked out of you, but good to see him back on his feet, and he'll stay in the game.
That one high and wide. 1-1 count. Yeah, you know, it was a bit risky. I don't want to say not serious concerns, because obviously when a guy goes down, you're worried, but it's very good to see that he's up, and it was probably just a wind situation.
And going back to what we were talking about with the leash, when you have this big a lead in a doubleheader, the coach is going to kind of tell you just to go as far as you want. And I know as a pitcher, of course, for your ERA and whatnot, for your stats, that might not be great, but in a situation like this,
This one's ripped, potentially catchable. It'll actually bounce just short of Murrison out in right field. And they'll get another single with Walker leading things off.
yeah, but as a pitcher, you kind of want to just be a team player. Just go out there, get some outs, maybe soak up some runs for ERA. But it's important to limit the number of pitchers you throw out in this game. I know it's a bit weird because you didn't have a game on Friday, so everyone was rested for yesterday. But given yesterday's circumstances with the 22-run affair, especially his pitch count's excellent at 59 in the 5th inning. That's still very, very good despite giving up 3 runs. So you assume you want to get him at least to the 7th.
This one's hit out into center. And Whalen will recover to make that grab out in center field, get the first out recorded of this top of the 5th inning. A lot of contact from Xavier recently, though.
Yeah, certainly putting the bat on the ball. And they hit 2 and 3 in the order. As a coach, I can't imagine trying to call out one of those names. And almost like twins, you don't know who's who.
Well, Jack Hausinger, 0 for 2 on the day. Both seniors, one's a righty, one's a lefty. But Jack Walker lead off the order. Or, excuse me, Andrew Walker. Because it's Jack Hausinger. A lot of Jacks, a lot of Andrews, a lot of names, a lot of words. It's going to be a long day, Austin. It's 1-1 count here. Andrew Walker is the man with the 3-3 on the season, or on the day, I should say. Wow, that was a mess, wasn't that? Inside, strike 2 called. Hausinger a bit upset with that one.
And the umpires certainly know it's going to be a long day as well, maybe trying to speed it up. That one, might have just clipped the inside corner, but Hausinger looks back at the dugout and looks back at the home plate umpire, trying to plead his case.
Strike 2 called there. Another one sighting inside.
It's exactly what you want to do as a pitcher. If you know the umpire is going to give it to you, throw it right back in the same exact spot. You see this pitch. Yep, right on the inside corner. Get a little runs back in. That's an excellent pitch, and that one definitely caught a bit of the plate.
Well, it's 2-2 here. Swung on and missed. Bremer recovering after allowing the 2-run homer earlier in the inning. 2 outs now. Just 1 to go before he gets out of the inning. So DiMartino hit by a pitch, got a single in his first at-bat. They're down by 8. They stranded 2 runners in the top of the 3rd. Gotten 2 from this one. Trying to pull off an Indiana-esque large run. Strike 2 called. Indiana won a 10-0 run yesterday, 10-0 run today. Well, yesterday, actually, to be clear and fair, Xavier went on a 12-0 run to open the game off.
Think of basketball as a game of runs, but hey, maybe baseball is that way as well, especially with the way this weekend is turning out.
Bremer fouls one up. Might be catchable for a fan. But still 2 strikes. Nice souvenir for a fan.
For the little girl as well, she's going to want that baseball. Turns to Dad, give me that ball.
Dad says, nope, you should have caught it.
Bring your glove next time.
0-2 count, 2 outs. Runner on first. Ellis keeps in front of him, but the runner is going to take second base. Andrew Walker, speedy guy, makes it his 9th stolen base in the year.
Yeah, it's a good count to steal on, especially as a runner with a 1-2 pitch. Pitcher's most likely going to maybe try and throw some junk away. And I don't know if Walker was going right on the pitch, but it doesn't matter. He's safely into second as Ellis couldn't corral that ball into his glove.
Could not. 1-2 count. DiMartino at the plate. Let's hit up high, but it should be catchable. Trying to avoid issues with the sun. Oh, it's missed. Pine can't bring it in. We'll have no real impacts beyond forcing everyone to go back to where they were and do it all over again.
Yeah, sun playing more of a problem. Clearly Matthew Ellis didn't see that because that's his ball. You kind of worry with an infielder like that. You're just running in so much and the ball just flies right behind you. That's exactly what happened there with Pine. But Ellis clearly didn't see it off the bat, and with the sun definitely in his eyes, if he did, that would have been an issue. But another, is there, the fourth out, as coaches will say, that you're giving teams with 2 outs and a runner in scoring position. You want to get out of the inning as quick as possible. Now you give a team the extra life.
DiMartino, a bit fortunate to have another crack at it. They get one up the middle. Bremer keeps it in front of him, and he'll go underhand toss to first. Tibbetts brings it in. And 2 runs are scored by Xavier, but Indiana still maintains an 8-run lead as they come back around. With the top of the order, Dones, Glasser, Whalen when we come back on Big Ten Plus. Dones, and it's 2-0. Third pitch here, across the middle of the plate, 2-1. Grounder, shortstop. Throw across the diamond, brought in from Hauser to Holtz. First out acquired by Lower and the Musketeers.
Good pitch there right on the lower part of the plate, which is why we've seen a lot of ground balls today. It's a good play there from the shortstop to move to his left towards the middle of the field.
It does, as a bunt attempt put down by Glasser, not able to get it going. It was, the wall can leave an impact on the player, but the player can leave an impact on the wall too.
A bit stronger than that.
That one's deep, but it looks like it's going to be too shallow to threaten the wall. It is corralled out in center field by Schultz. The sun again, always playing an impact, trying to be able to make sure that you don't lose one up in the sky.
Even with sunglasses out there for Schultz, you can kind of see him kind of adjust, and he probably didn't see it.
He's got 3 RBIs already. A sacrifice fly, the 2-run home run, and a single. So very strong showing from him. His first at-bat post-wall collision.
Scored 7 runs as well in this series. Having a very nice outing as he takes a first pitch strike there. Good to see him in this game. It's the last thing you want in kind of a game that's so one-sided is for an injury to plague someone. We saw that in the basketball season when Rob Finney, you were calling that game for the radio station, the game in which Rob Finney was injured during the Penn State. Yep. Just bad things can happen even though the game's going so smoothly. One injury can change the outcome of a game or a season, but good to see the center fielder Whalen still in this game.
Fourth pitch coming in here for Bobby Whalen. Really low on the inside. But yeah, it would have been a very unfortunate, bittersweet moment had Whalen been a casualty to just the game playing out, Indiana scored so many runs in such a few amount of time that, you were saying maybe umpire could just switch that 6, just rotate it a bit, make it a 9, end the game a bit early. But Indiana, they're prepared for a long day.
Line up for the first game, but that's the way doubleheaders work.
Low. It'll be a walk. Bobby Whalen gets on base for the 3rd time today.
It's kind of the build you see of a catcher.
Could get him caught out here, and as a matter of fact, in a very unorthodox manner, stepping off the plate to try and toss him out at first was Lower, but Whalen said, I'll just take second base. Threw it to first, and the return throw wasn't in time.
Yeah, it's interesting. What they say with the left-handed pitcher and you're on first base, you kind of want to take a shorter lead and then go on first move. And then what happens is the first baseman, the first baseman Holtz, kind of just pump fakes a little bit as he's waiting. I assume for the shortstop to go cover the bag. And if a runner, they say if you kind of get caught, you just go. And only good things can happen if that happens like that. And immediately goes. The pump fake was enough to keep him safe, and just another mental error like that can really build up on a team like this, especially with a doubleheader. You got still another game and a half of baseball ahead of you.
So Ellis now has a runner in scoring position. 1 ball, 0 strikes, 2 outs though. Fouls 1 back. He's yet to put one into play. I should say put one into play. That is counted. Swung on and missed by Ellis.
Can be so tough for a pitcher when you're out there, and of course coming out of the bullpen like that, and you just see kind of just errors after errors, kind of just some mental errors, some physical errors can really just pile up on you, and you can kind of see him, not steaming out of his ears, but you kind of see the frustration.
Swung on and missed again by Ellis. Strikes out there. Bit of frustration for him. Indiana, for the first time this game, don't register a run in the inning. Well, that does it for 5 innings. Indiana 11, Xavier 3. Back in a moment on Big Ten Plus. Middle of the order, Flam, Schultz, Holtz.
Nice little ring to it.
Schultz, Holtz. Is that a band situation, like Flam and Schultz and the Holtz?
Never know. Maybe in between these games they can put out a little rock song for us or whatever. Keep us entertained here. That's very interesting.
They got to focus on their at-bats in this moment. The band cannot begin their musical enterprises just yet. It's 1-1 for the lead of this band that we've created just now. Bouncing ball, first base, not quite collected. It's actually going to be ruled foul. It almost was a case of Tibbetts batting it back into play rather than it being in naturally.
It's a tough play there, of course, as a first baseman. That ball is bouncing right near the foul line. Then you also have to worry about first base, and you kind of want to catch it and step on first all in one motion. Ends up being foul, which probably would have been a good thing. That ball did being foul because the pitcher, Bramer, had to actually come over and retrieve that if that ball were to be fair and have to step on the bag himself. But that's a tough play to try and do it all in one motion, trying to worry about if the ball is fair or foul, trying not to stop awkwardly on first base and roll your ankle or something like that.
1-2 count. High and wide. Inside there, called strike 3. Bremer gets a 5th strikeout on the day.
There, and he's going up, and I believe is now up to 5.
Is indeed at 5 now. Strike called, 1-1.
Yeah, now as a pitcher, knowing that pitch count's getting up there, you're at 78 here in the 6th inning, kind of that number's creeping in the back of your mind. Now you just want to get ahead and throw strikes.
Pulled to third, collected by Pine, gets him in time. 2 outs down. 5 2/3 innings pitched from Bremer so far now. He's nearing his longest outing as a pitcher. We're seeing some movement in the Indiana bullpen. Not crazy movement, just more so their existence there, as they know that Bremer's getting up there. He's nearing, this will be his 80th pitch that comes right here. It'll be called a ball. You know, that just, not even performance. 5 innings and 2/3. Only 3 runs allowed. 5 strikeouts, no walks. Swung on a miss there, 1-1 count. 8 hits, so they've been doing a decent job of getting the bat on the ball, have Xavier, but not accounting for too much. Big swing and a miss there.
Great off-speed pitch, way ahead of it. No walks is such a big thing. So important as a pitcher. Of course, he struggled with that coming into this game. He had 11 Ks to 9 walks. That's a ratio that I mentioned at the top. Something he'd like to improve, and certainly he's done that. But no free passes in a game like this is something you got to love as a coach. Just one hit batsman.
This one's driven out into the outfield. It'll be Whalen who tracks over to bring it in, and that concludes the top of the 6th inning. Indiana still up 11-3. Back in 6th, or 1/3. Hey, 1/3 of the way through. Right, yeah, 1/3, because you think 18 divided by 3.
We're not really 6 innings through, we're 5.5.
we're nearing the back end of the first third. But it's a fun one so far. Inside there again, 2-0. Let's do some actual broadcasting, talk about the fact that we now have Dorsey Chatham, who's the new pitcher for the Musketeers. Making a change there. So far in the year, there's a deep shot. Back at the wall, have to turn around and just watch it go by. Indiana makes it 12-3, and Brock Tibbetts gets in on the action with a home run. Solo shot to open up the inning. And welcomes Dorsey Chatham to the game. Conceded a solo shot. I was going to say strike one. I was a bit preemptive there. Ball is called for Josh Pine. But he's had 4 outings: Alabama, Oregon State, Winthrop, and Wright State. Longest outing was against Winthrop, throwing 3 2/3 with 2 earned runs allowed. Never allowed more than 2 earned runs. Last time out against Wright State on the 16th of March. Threw an inning, allowed a hit, allowed a run. It's fouled off by Pine.
Earned run given up.
Strike called there, 1-2 count now. He leaves it, but Pine is struck out looking. Good recovery from Chatham after allowing the home run to open up his outing. Gets the first out and his first strikeout of his appearance. Has indeed been a very strong outing for him. And his 4th at bat, looking to extend his 2 for 3 with 2 RBI day. Indiana as a whole are batting 12 of 26. Gotten on base via a walk 4 times, just struck out twice. I think the biggest discrepancy is probably the hitting with runners on base and runners in scoring position especially. See a high one called ball 3. With runners in scoring position, Xavier 0 of 5, Indiana 4 of 8. Big difference there if you can get some hits into the action when you got guys in good spots. And with 2 outs as well, Indiana 6 of 11, Xavier 1 of 7. Walk there. After the strikeout last time out, Matheson will get on base via a walk. A media school intramural soccer team going pretty soon. Strike 1 is called there. I think our body types will be more suited to that than it would be to rugby, which is similar to soccer in a lot of aspects. Very popular across the pond in England. But it's 12-3 here in more local and more important, relevant for us.
At the moment,
for us.
yes.
Yeah. I already had an accidental soccer reference when I said Xavier 0 earlier. And they even had a run at that point. Another one wide, 2-1 count. It's just finding its way to seep in there.
Slips through the cracks. It happens.
It did indeed. But it's the last day of spring break for IU students. Crowd has started to fill in. Very good showing. That was high. It's going to go wild. And it's going to allow Matheson to come through standing at second base. 3-1 count. So chance that maybe a walk might not make this stolen base and wild pitch all too significant. But Indiana now has a runner in scoring position.
Yeah, you see a mound meeting here between the battery, the pitcher and the catcher duo is start to see some wild pitches, and struggling with his command currently is Chatham. See a quick pep talk between the two as Matheson advances easily on the wild pitch.
Jesse at the plate. That was high. He'll walk. Now to the bottom of the order. Got on base 3 times, so he's not been contributionless. Ball 1 called there.
See some action now in the Xavier bullpen as we start to see a bit of Chatham starting to lose the zone a little bit. Last thing you want to do in a game like this is just, as a manager, just watch your pitcher just continue to put that guys on and keep the carousel moving on the base paths.
Chatham's up to 17 pitches in this inning. That one's low, kept in front of though by Dupree.
Thrown 16 pitches so far. Chatham has just 5 of them in for strikes. That is not a ratio you want to see.
There is strike number 6. He heard you say that, Austin, and he said, I don't want to hear anything from Platt. That was a good case of the commentator's curse, though, from you, Austin.
Perfect. As if I spoke it into existence.
Runners on second and third. It's Merson at the bottom of the order. He leaves that one. Decent one over the plate. Strike 2. Clearly, though, Indiana very patient at the plate at the moment.
And now you're just trying to see as many pitches as you can and kind of just mentally prepare yourself for the next game and just adjusting your approaches as it goes. That's an off-speed pitch that just drops right in there. But for a guy who's been struggling to find the zone, the last thing you want to do as a hitter is to give him a freebie and swing at a pitch way out of the zone.
This one's driven on the third base line. Can get the force at third across the diamond. Double play completed. Indiana maybe a bit angry that they couldn't do much more with the 2 runners on base, but that rounds out the batting order, rounds out the inning. Very well executed double play. We'll get on the look at it here. Cushing collects at third, tosses it across the diamond to Holtz, who has to stretch a bit, but he brings it in and ends the bottom of the 6th inning. Game 1 of 2 here in Bloomington. First pitch, knocked up high in the air, out into right field. Murison is under it. He brings it in. And up to 84 pitches now. We were talking about it off air, Austin. Bremer now up to 6 1/3 innings pitched. He's got through 2/3 of the game. How much more could you anticipate him being ridden by Jeff Mercer and co?
As long as he possibly can. That's the mindset as a coach right now. And in a game like this, you're up by so much, and with a lot of pitchers being exhausted this weekend, you're trying to good off-speed pitch to begin this at bat, but go as far as you want. And there's really no worry about, of course, giving up a lead like this. And unless we see a miraculous comeback from Xavier like we saw from Indiana yesterday, but at 84 pitches in the 7th, with 1 out in the 7th, that's not bad at all considering he's given up 3 runs and had a bit of trouble early. But certainly you can't complain about his performance, and we could see him go all 9, which would be excellent for his confidence.
Pitch count isn't crazy considering it's been 6 innings. And that one swung on. Ellis will collect. Toss over to first, and that's 2 outs now there. I mean, all of a sudden, Austin, I mean, he may not break 90 pitches in 7 innings.
That would be very efficient. Excellent as that bit of a swinging bunt there just sits right in front of Ellis, who makes the easy play.
But that's strikeout number 6.
Strikeout, that's right. Drop third strike it was, my apologies.
Fouled back. Pitch 88 there for Bremer. Lost control with that. 7 might be the sweet spot, though, that they decide with Bremer and give one reliever a chance to close out the last 2.
And here's a guy who you'd like to get out. Walker 3 for 3 already, 2 singles, a double, and a stolen base. Exactly what you want as a coach from your leadoff hitter. Get on, swipe a bag, put yourself and your team in a chance in scoring position early, and he did that. Very first pitch of the game he saw. You know, it wasn't the greatest of contact, but with this speed, got to first base on the chopped ball to Glasser.
Fouled back, 2-2 count. Yeah, you know, he's got on base 3 times, all with hits. Hasn't been brought home once. He looks after him, Hunsinger and Hausinger, the twin combo you mentioned in the names department, are both 0-3. DiMartino follows him up as 1-2. Ball is called, 3-2, full count. Bremer with a chance to get out of the inning. Another look at this one. A bit high, it appeared.
Right at the lettering, a bit of a, maybe too much of a frame there from Ellis to get the umpire's attention.
That one low, no need for a frame or much there. Ball 4, and a walk for Bremer, his first of the contest in the 7th inning.
Yeah, this could be the point where you can see Bremer start to labor a little bit. Of course, coming out of the bullpen this year, you're not used to longer starts like this. We mentioned he's already blown past his season high in terms of the innings pitch department. Of course, he, in his last time out, pitched just 3 2/3 innings a week ago against Troy when Indiana was swept on the road in a very close series.
It's a close series, but Indiana, and we mentioned this off air, I'm not sure if we have it on air yet. They're going to call that one a strike. Is that Indiana in save situation games with 3 runs or less are 0-8, and they have not won a game decided by 5 runs or less.
Looks like that streak will continue today, is assuming that Indiana holds on.
Yeah.
And
if it holds on, they're up by 9 at the moment. This one is hit low, just past the glove of Glasser, and Xavier stay alive.
Looks like we see some action in the Indiana bullpen for the first time. And if my eyes do not deceive me, it is Nathan Stahl, looks like, in the bullpen, the right-hander for Indiana. And right as I say that, and there it is, 14 in white. Seen him come out of the pen a few times today, and you would think he'd be called on by Mercer to get the last. Right now it would be 7 outs of the game.
One's low from Bremer. He's got 1 out left to go to get out of this inning, but with 2 runners on, this is not a done deal in the least, Austin. You don't want to, I think, leave him out too long, especially with a guy like Jack Hausinger, who is explosive, does have a bit of that capabilities in him.
You would think this could be his last batter, try and get out of it, or maybe leave the bases loaded, but you have a righty coming up next. Maybe bring in the bullpen arm. A righty on lefty matchup right now isn't too favorable, but he's not helping himself by missing the zone on these.
of players playing right now, Housinger leads the team in RBIs, also in home runs. 6 homers, 18 RBIs. Leave that one for strike, 2-1 count. Be big for Bremer to get out of the situation with this one.
Once again, locating that spot on that inside corner for lefties, as Housinger did not like that call one bit.
Ball 3.
That one was close as well, but as an umpire, not going to most likely give both sides of the play. That one on the outside corner, not going to give it. And 3-1, and this could very well be the last pitch we see of the afternoon from Bremer, but he should not be disappointed. This will be pitch number 100.
Fouled away. Full count now. Runners will be moving. A lot of air under that one. Murison out in right, not moving a ton. He brings it in. And Bremer, with 101 pitches, gets out at the top of the 7th, and 2 runners are stranded by Xavier. Remains to be seen if he'll come out after Indiana comes up to bat now. But so far, 2 of 4 on the day, grounded into a double play. Had 2 singles to start off the contest. One of them bringing in a run. And he was the first run to go across home plate of the game. But a lot of opportunities for the batters to get a little hot, because they've got this at the moment, and then just 30 minutes after the conclusion of this game, there will be a repeat of the contest between the teams, as Indiana and Xavier will play host for a second time.
Seeing some defensive changes for Xavier. 5 of them, to be exact. We'll get you through all of them as the inning progresses.
3 of them, the entire outfield, as a matter of fact, changing Anderson, Hellman, and Dieters in. A swing and a miss there for Dones. But an entire change in the outfield is Xavier almost chalking this one up and saying, we'll move on to the next game, which is going to be happening very shortly after the end of this one.
Yeah, Hodge also into second base for Huntsinger, and Capilowitz in at first base for Holtz. So you assume some of these guys who, maybe they'll start the next game, give them a couple innings off here, or for some of them just completely say, oh, your afternoon's done. But with a game like this, and it being, that was their chance right there was in the top of the 7th with a laboring Bremer still on the mound for Indiana. If you don't get any runs there, it's kind of just wave the white flag and say, we'll make some changes and we'll think about the next game.
It's 2-2. Still Dorsey Chatham in the game, to clarify. Fouled back. That one would have been right ass if there was, not a net or a bit of glass in front of us.
I was ready. I would catch it for you, Jack. I would save your life.
I appreciate that, Austin. That means a lot to me. Dones leaves that one. 3-2 is the count now. Dones high and inside. Dones, as a matter of fact, hit with that one. And he'll get on base to lead things off. Taking one in the left shoulder, left upper arm area.
Another guy who's been on 3 times today, Philip Glasser, the shortstop, senior. Scored 2 runs as well. Had a nice afternoon. His average now.
Fouled one off, clipping the catcher a little bit. There's a 1-2 count now.
As much as we said the offense has been inconsistent this season, looking at the starting 9 right now for Indiana, just 2 guys currently do not have an on-base percentage above 350, which is really exceptional. And I believe Carter Matheson's one of them. He's at 347 entering this game, but that number will eclipse 350. The conclusion of this one.
Loses the hat, and he loses the ball out in left field. Dieters couldn't bring it in, and the runners will only advance 1 base. Actually, the ball is lost again. And in very confusing circumstances, Indiana gets a single that hung for quite a bit. And Dones is hanging his head a bit out at second base. Unsure if he is just hanging out.
Yeah, maybe as we see just completely another one lost in the sun. Great call there. No hat, no ball in the glove. As you could tell, as soon as that ball goes in the air, it
when he lost his hat.
Game like this, last thing you want to do is get caught in a silly base running mistake. As he'll get chased back to second where no one is covering, and he will amusingly tap the bag.
Yeah, but Bobby Whalen is up to bat. He's got a 2-run home run. He had a sac fly. He's got a walk, a single. All in all, 3 runs batted in. Crossed plate twice himself. That's going to be a batter hit by a pitch. Whalen takes one on the shoulder and advances 90 feet.
Another free pass here. It feels like this game is just being really
just a hit by a pitch and an advancement by fielder's choice and an error so far. Leaves 1 go for strike 1. Ellis fouls one off. Early 0-2 hole. Brock Tibbetts, the man on deck.
I'm almost surprised on that first pitch, kind of right down the middle, that Ellis didn't swing at it. When
Yeah.
you're 0 for 3, you got the bases loaded, nobody out, and especially seeing all your other teammates round the bases and be so successful at the plate. Not that he hasn't gotten on base, but not getting a hit. I'm surprised he didn't just try and release one and try and smack one over the fence, but now he's got to work from behind.
He does get some contact on it. Double play potential. Steps on second and gets him out, so runner will be at third, and Ellis gets a runner home. It's Dones across his home plate, so Indiana's up now.
The middle turns into an easy double play. Run does score, but no RBI.
Ball 1 for Brock Tibbetts. Last at bat was a home run in the 6th inning. Strike 1 called, so 1-1 count, evens it up. We've seen Hoskins come in to mixed success so far. Allowed a hit. Gotten 2 outs, however, off that double play. Check swing. He did go, 1-2 count. Gonna look at this one. Close one.
That's one maybe whereas Tibbetts thought he should have looked to the first base umpire looking for a signal there. Of course, he has the better angle at it, but home plate umpire is the man in charge.
That was low, 2-2 count, 2 outs. In the bottom of the 7th inning.
Interesting that Tibbetts, coming out of high school, was the #2 ranked catcher in the state of Ohio, and now he's made the transition on over to first base.
He gets a bit of contact on it. It's collected and tossed over to first base. And Hoskins does the job. He allows 1 run to go home to double play with his last at bat. Not his greatest hitting performance of the year. not by a long stretch, considering the high standards he sets for himself. But he was relatively clean in a catching performance. But Platt with a chance to, ideally for Mercer, pitch 2 innings, just get Indiana into the next game. 2-0 count. First 2 pitches he's thrown have been balls. A pinch hitter, a guy who did not start the contest, number 11, Alex Hellman, junior outfielder. Swung on and missed. This one's chopped to third base, a tough play. Bear hands it, throws it across, but not in time. Pine trying to make the play across, but in the end, it was just a bit too short, a bit too awkward for him to deal with.
Another soft contact, and that's what you want to do as a third baseman, go charge that. But that is that's a really tough play, and it turns out to be an infield single. Just like to see as a coach your players you call on the bench, those guys come in and get on base.
Coming in now is the number 8, Jonathan Kelly. Might have heard the PA say that very indistinctly, or distantly, I should say. So no outs, runner on first. One's low for David Platt. Well, entering into today, Platt had just thrown 1 inning, allowed a hit, had 2 walks, but no runs were allowed. Swung on and missed, big swing. That was in that Purdue-Fort Wayne game back on March 9th. This one's driven out into right field. Angling foul. What a grab out in right field. Catches a bit of the fence as well, but it's corralled by Murison. And he gets it done.
There's a highlight play there as the right fielder Murison going towards the line. That's a really tough play. Of course, you know, the grass turns into the dirt, and then you know how you have the wall there, the little short wall, and you don't want to kind of turn into what happened in center field earlier in this game with Bobby Whalen, but he does well and braces himself, and an excellent play, and keep the runner at first as well, getting the ball in quickly.
Well dealt with by Ceruto to keep it in front of him. Corral it, as some may say. Leaves that one. Strike 1 called. After Kelly went out into what would have been in foul territory, but it was well tracked down by Murison. That one's high and inside. Nearly catching Anderson, but did not.
You know, this game might be an outlier from what has been an excellent series, but you look at the all-time series between these two teams. IU leads 26-5, and it was 26-3 entering this weekend. But Xavier, I should say, has come on strong and won the first 2 games. But Indiana was on a 7-game winning streak in the series, and when the teams last met here at Bart Kaufman in 2017, Indiana swept the 3-game set, but much better for fans to see a much more competitive series.
This one's flown out. Murison and Wright having to do a bit more work, backing up, tracks it in, and he's going to toss it back infield. He's got the 2 outs this inning. Indiana have 2 outs and just 4 outs remaining for Xavier to mount a very tall comeback. Jackson Capilowitz is coming into the game. Another guy off the bench. A lot of different guys getting some looks. Puts us back into this game for the Musketeers. Swung on, missed, 0-1 count. And make sure after this game, they'll scrub the scoreboard clean, make it 0-0, and play the second hand of the doubleheader 30 minutes after this game concludes. Indiana and Xavier will do it all over again. Different set of pitchers, maybe different lineups, small tweaks here and there.
For Xavier, hoping for a different result as well.
Yes.
This game you just kind of throw out the window, and the best thing is you just have half an hour to maybe blow off some steam in the dugout, and then just completely turn the page, throw it out the window, and try and split a doubleheader, which as a coach, any coach would take a split of a doubleheader any day of the week, and winning the second half of that, given that today is a getaway day, it being Sunday, the last day of a series, good for especially an away team to go wherever, to fly out or to travel and with a win and have a nice camaraderie on the bus or the flight. I assume it would be a bus.
That was fouled away, 1-2 count. Ryan Kraft and Lane Flam, the pending starters, if the probables turn to be, what's the word for probable? Like literal? Real?
Yeah.
We'll do some research. Bring you that in the ninth inning. 1-2 count, 2 outs. It's low and wide. Two count. Swung on, missed. And David Platt strikes him out to wrap up the inning, his first strikeout of the contest. Well, Indiana 13, Xavier 3. Wow, that one's lifted high into the sun. Dieter is trying to find it. He already lost one today. This one I'll have a bit better success with. He'll rake it in, and it'll be a quick first out. Popping out was Josh Pine. He's got the home run already on the day. That one's low. Ball 1. Still in is Luke Hoskins. He's pitched 1 1/3. It's inside. Ball 2 called. Left there again, 3-0 count. Bit more of a complex at bat for Hoskins to battle his way through rather than just the simple pop-up by Pine. Leaves that one. It's a 4-pitch walk. And Carter Matheson, for the second time this game and the second straight at bat, he walks over to first base.
Assuming that not all of them will be in the starting lineup for Game 2.
Strike 1 is called there for Luke Hoskins. He's allowed a hit and a walk so far in his effort. That one's wide. 20 pitches now doled out by the freshman. Driven, but foul. It's an interesting thing because usually it's driven. Chance for double play. Collected. Tossed back. They got it in time. Really well worked double play. Capilowitz throwing it to second and then kept receiving it. Back for the Musketeers. For Indiana, it's Luke Hayden on the mound. Looking to, it's not quite a close or a save. It's more so just get the game done with.
Yeah, Hayden, a guy we've seen in a few starts, 2-0. Actually 3 starts now, but it will be his 6th appearance. The Bloomington native has pitched quite well this season. Had not a great outing against Kentucky in his last time out. Started in that game, gave up 4 earned runs, but luckily the team came back and won that game, so he was off the hook in terms of getting a loss attached to him. But he's been quite good in the other 2 starts this season against Miami of Ohio in the opener, in the home opener that is, and then in the dominant win over Cincinnati, where he kind of had everything kind of just handed right to him, as Cincinnati really couldn't find the strike zone, and Indiana had a big lead in that game. But he's a guy used to coming out of the bullpen. That's what he does now.
Glasser collects, gets it in time. Out number 1. 1/3 of the way done with the first half of today's doubleheader contest. When I say 1/3, I should mean 1/3 of the way through this inning, with 1 out down. Jared Cushing up now for the Musketeers. He had a 2-run home run earlier in the game, up in the 5th inning. That one's low, so for ball 1. You know, at that moment, it was an 8-run game after the 2-run home run. I'm trying to remember, rack my brain, figure it out. If I'm not mistaken, it was 11-3 when he had the 2-run home run. Austin, hopefully you can save my embarrassment there.
Let's see here.
3-0 count for Hayden in the meantime.
11-3 it was. Your memory serves you very well.
It came too slow for it to be too useful, to be honest with you. Strike 1 called. We saw Cushing beginning to make his move towards first base. He wanted the walk, but instead he has to take another pitch. It's an odd one, Austin, because we're seeing fans start to fill in the 9th inning of a 10-run game. There's strike 2. Cushing tried to do it again, trying to start the early walk. But fans are still milling in because we're only 1/2 of the way through the contest, in a way. When usually you might see people heading out a bit early, get to the cars, get home, enjoy the rest of your Sunday. But just getting started here. Here's one driven out into the gap between left and center. It drops. Cushing rounds first. He's going to come in standing into second. They got a runner in scoring position after the double by Cushing. The rally stays alive.
Nice job once again, the 9-hitter today. He has a home run, had good contact, although grounded into a double play earlier, and then now a double, his 2nd extra base hit. As it's been a very casual environment here today. A lot of families in town this week with spring break. No students here. We were back both a bit early, and seeing a lot of people in town. I saw a wedding yesterday as I was walking to the media school. So it's
in the media school.
Not in the media school. That would be something else. But definitely seeing a lot of things you see when none of the students are around. But fans certainly shown out today. Of course, their opening day here was a record in terms of attendance. I believe that number was 1,984, opening day record.
Bounces in front, 1-1. So fouled back. 1-2 count.
So Xavier actually moved their lineup around a little bit. So Hellman came in, was originally hitting in the 4 spot for DiMartino, and they've flopped the lineups. Now he's hitting at the top, so a bit of a double switch there. So we see a bunch of lineup changes.
Swung on, missed.
We've seen Hayden's breaking stuff has been so good as he's progressed in his outings as an Indiana pitcher and being able to control the secondary pitches and leave hitters guessing is so important, especially for a guy like him, Hayden being a freshman, just coming on the scene here at Indiana, even though he's been around this team for a while, being a Bloomington native. But him being able to control those pitches is why he's been so good when he's started games, and he's clearly displaying that, although much less pressure here in this one with your team up big and you're only needing one more out.
1-1. I think both teams are ready for a reset.
Yeah, we have our jersey mics getting ready for what will be a munch for a half an hour, as I think both teams are probably in the same boat. Despite all the runs being scored, it's been a relatively fast-paced game considering circumstances. With 16 runs, you wouldn't expect this game to be right around 3 hours, but we appreciate that.
It was given an approximate 3:30 start time. If they get the end game done within the next 3 minutes, it's ball 3. Again, this is commentator's curse, but the game was within the next 3 minutes, they could hit that 3:30 approximate start time on the nose. Could have even beaten it. It's a 3-1 count for Ethan Hodge. Pitches in. Tough one. Bounces it into the ground and catches it in the face, knocking his helmet off. Looks to be okay. He'll take a moment to collect himself. We're going to look at that one. Just right in the soft spot where there wasn't a helmet.
Yeah, he kind of hits that earlobe right there. Still not the most comfortable thing as we start to see fans clap their hands, some on their feet, as Indiana 1 strike away from closing out this game 1 in what would be comfortable style, as Hayden steps off and he'll ask for a new baseball. And our chances of starting at 3:30 on the nose continue to dwindle.
2 more minutes. We're playing it down to the wire. Full count. Hayden. Payoff pitch. Ball 4. Hausinger is in now for his 5th at-bat. 2 strikeouts, 2 flyouts. Not been his kind of day at the plate, but maybe he could kind of take a page from Indiana, who lost yesterday's game, but they were on a very good offensive flow to end it, and use this as almost a launching point going forward. Here's the first pitch. It's low, ball 1.
Yeah, Hayden getting a bit too cute with it, trying to end the game on a nice curveball, trying to drop it in there for strike 3, but instead walks the guy, playing with him a bit too much, and now down 1-0 on one of the better hitters on this team.
Down 2-0 now. Steps off, throws to the imaginary man at second that he was going to toss it to. Forced Cushing to step back a little bit. Just they got a pretty large lead off on second. Fouled back by Hausinger. Two 2-1 count. It's high, nearly catching him. 3-1 count now.
A little chin music there, and Hayden's got to control the zone. The last thing you want to do as a manager, you call on a guy to get the last 3 outs, try and keep it stress-free, and now he's 1 ball away from loading the bases. The last thing you want to do is get another guy up in the bullpen, which you don't think is necessary.
That one's popped up. Going to be an awkward one. It's brought down in right field by Murison at 3:01 p.m. That does it for game 1, round 1 of today's 2-round doubleheader. Indiana 13, Xavier 3.